Well, here we are. It is Wednesday of week one, and this is your instructor, James, welcoming you to the Capstone overview video for Bible 103 fall session 2. So very glad to be in this course with you and walking with you through this material. Don't want this video to get too long, so I'm going to get right to it. You can see that I've shared my screen with you. You have a final project in this course, which you will be building throughout the weeks. But I want to give you the big picture and then pull back for each week's uh, part for it. So the Capstone project will be a collection of six, what we're calling elevator pitches, based upon the six acts of God's story outlined in our text: creation, fall, Israel, Jesus, church, and new creation. An elevator pitch is designed as a succinct and persuasive sales pitch. In other words, you only have so much time on an elevator. Um, how would you uh, how would you speak to the story of the scriptures, the drama of scripture to someone, given limited space, so to speak? So the goal of the assignment is to create a persuasive and engaging retelling of each act of the biblical story. And for your final capstone project, you should compile all of the capstone activities that you have done throughout the course, and you should compile them into one document with the guidelines followed below, and we'll get to those in just a moment. You should also include an emphasis on how each act builds on the previous act, resulting in a cohesive and progressive story of Scripture. Uh, you should include any suggestions for change from any feedback that you get from me throughout the course. And your final project should be in its final polished form. Okay? Now, here are the guidelines for the finished project, and it is due on the final week of the final day of the final week of the course. And there can be no exceptions, no late work. I must have everything submitted by midnight on that final night of the course. So each act of the drama of Scripture should be summarized in 500 words, resulting in a 3,000 word paper. Okay? Papers should be in Times New Roman font, size 12, double spaced. Okay? Papers should cite our textbook, The Drama of Scripture, and other course resources using MLA format, and these are in-text citations, exactly like you see the parentheses in-text citations there. And if you have any questions about that, please let me know. I'll be glad to help. Your papers will be graded for college level grammar and syntax. Be sure to utilize a proofreader and or the online writing lab at Point. I cannot stress enough how wonderful the online writing lab is here at Point. Okay, so that is what the final finished product is going to look like, or should look like, at the end of the course. Now, if we go back and take a look, beginning your first capstone activity is due at the end of next week, week 2. And so if I click here, the first paragraph there is kind of an overview of the final version of your project. Here are the questions. Begin your research, and again, cite your sources, and also include scripture references when discussing specific parts of the story. And here are the questions uh, that will guide you through this first act. And actually, this is on Acts 1 and 2. Now, again, let me stress, this is not on the New Testament book of Acts chapters 1 and 2. No. This is on the first two acts of the drama of Scripture as laid out in your textbook, creation and fall. All right? So we're going to ask you to summarize it. What's the drama? Who are the main characters? What roles do they have in the story? How do they interact? What, in your opinion, is the main takeaway from both Act 1 and Act 2? And if you had to choose one main theme from Acts 1 and 2, what would it be and why? Okay? So I can tell you that if you stick close to those questions, you're going to do very well. Now, we're not looking for it to be necessarily polished at this point. At this point, excuse me, your raw notes are fine. The polished version will be due at the end of the course. Okay. So just to give you an overview, your first one is at the end of week 2. Your second one, which will go over Act 3, is at the end of week 4. And then you can see how it falls out. Act 4 will be week 5, Act 5, week 6. And then along with your finished project, you also have Act 7, your rough notes to turn in for that. So you'll have 2 submissions that week, your capstone activity and your final capstone project. All right. But that's a little ways down the road, but I did want to just go give a brief overview of this project. If you have any questions about it going forward, do not hesitate to reach out and ask. And please, 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 always uh, make sure you make sure you engage with a proofreader. I am happy to take a look at your stuff before you submit it, but would encourage you to use the online writing lab as much as possible. Okay. Thank you so much for being in this class. I've enjoyed reading your first forums for week 1, and don't forget about that. Your original responses are due Friday before your head hits the pillow, and then your response to a classmate on Sunday. And you also have another assignment this week, learning activity 1.1, which is due at the end of this week, Sunday night, by the time your head hits the pillow. Okay. Thank you again for being here. God bless you. You're in my prayers, and we'll see you next time.